Hello, this is Valia from Lucky Fox Knits, and today I have another original design to share with you. We're going to be knitting this adorable little winter accessory for a pet. It's a neck warmer, and this is a completely seamless design, and it's quite stretchy. For best results, follow along with the written pattern, which you can find in my Etsy shop, Lucky Fox Knits. I'll leave the link in the description below. This one here is designed for a dog with a 10-inch neck measurement. But what's really fun is that it can be easily sized up or down, because 1 inch equals 4 stitches. So you just either add or subtract 4 stitches as many times as you need to get it to the scale you need. This can be knit for a cat, and it can also be scaled up and knit for a human being. What we're going to do is we're going to find a nice sport weight yarn. Today I have this lovely sport weight alpaca yarn in this fluorescent yellow with shades of green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my little pink yarnet here. A friend of mine was generous enough to gift me this, and it keeps my yarn nice and clean. I just lock it like that, and I'm able to pull it and it doesn't collect any lint. For this project, we're going to need sport weight yarn, US size 3 double pointed knitting needles, 1 stitch marker, a tapestry needle, and a simple measuring tape. We're going to begin by casting on 64 stitches. Now that I have my 64 stitches cast on, I'm going to cast on 1 additional stitch, and that's just to help me join my work in the round. I'm going to make sure that there's no twist in my knitting. I basically look at this little row of stitches here, and I make sure that it's not doing this, that it's not twisted around. And I'm ready to join my work. I like joining my work by slipping the first stitch and passing the previous stitch over top of it, like so. So that actually got rid of that 1 extra stitch I cast on. It was just used up. So I'm back to 64 stitches now. And now it's time to place my marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to knit 2 stitches onto this knitting needle here. And the purpose of these is just to keep my marker in place. When you're working with double pointed needles that don't have a knob on the end, if you don't keep your stitch marker somewhere in the middle of your stitches, it keeps falling off naturally. And now I'm going to simply knit every single stitch until my work measures 1.25 inches from the cast on edge. So I've knit 1.25 inches from the cast on edge, and you'll notice that the edge is kind of rolling. So I like that it's rolling. That's a feature of the design. But I'm going to unroll it to measure the distance. And you want it to measure 1.25 inches, which that measures perfectly. And now I'm going to switch to a knit 2, purl 2 rib. There's my beginning of the round, so I'm going to knit 2 stitches like that. And the next 2 stitches are going to be purled. Purl 2, and then knit 2. And now I'm going to continue with the knit 2, purl 2 rib, working round after round until my work measures 3 inches from the cast on edge, unrolling the rolled edge here at the top. I've knit until my work measures 3 inches, and the next step is to work a row of increases. And what we're going to do is we're going to knit 2, and we're going to start working our increases, and our increases are going to fall on either side of these 2 knit stitches in our rib. The first increase is a make one left, so I'm going to pick up the running thread and I'm just going to knit a stitch through the back of this picked up stitch in the running thread, like that. And then I'm going to purl 2. And now I'm going to make one right. So I pick up the running thread in the opposite direction, and now I'm going to knit that stitch through the front, like so. Knit 2, and make one left, knitting through the back, and then purl 2, make one right, knitting through the front of the stitch. And I'm going to repeat this sequence of increases all the way around for 1 round. Now it's very important that you don't forget to make one right after the last 2 purl stitches. So you want to make sure that you purl 2, and right before the stitch marker you make one right one last time. Like that. And now we have switched over to a knit 4 purl 2 rib, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to knit 4, and at the beginning of the round the stitch marker is kind of between. There's 3 on this side and there's 1 here, so that is still knit 4, purl 2, and we're going to continue in that knit 4 purl 2 rib until our work measures 5 inches from the cast on edge, unrolling the rolled edge to measure. I've worked until my knitting measures 5 inches, unrolling the rolled edge to measure. And now I'm almost done. I'm ready to bind off. And what we're going to do next is we're just going to start binding off the stitches. I'm going to remove my marker. I don't need it anymore. And from here, I'm just going to start binding off my stitches. So I'm just going to knit those 4 because they're kind of together there. And I'm going to start binding off with my purl stitches. And you're going to bind off in a rib. And we're going to go around, and the important thing is to bind off nice and loose. You don't want to bind off too tight on this neck warmer. So I'm binding off nice and loose, leaving my loops very loose. And I'm going to go around binding off every stitch. Now we're going to break the yarn and pull it through the last loop, pulling it tight. And we're going to thread our loose end through a tapestry needle and weave it in. And I like to close this little gap that I have right here by going through both sides of the V of the edge stitch like that, and then going over the top through the original stitch like that. So you see how seamlessly that continues on the little line of stitches there. And then on the wrong side, we're just going to weave this stitch in. And you can either follow the purl stitches, which is pretty easy, and that kind of locks it in really well. Or alternatively, you can go up the row of knit stitches on the wrong side. So let's see where this goes. clip my loose end. That leaves us with only one loose end left here from the rolled edge. And for this one, I like to just go along the very edge, just like this. Because the rolled edge protects it from coming out, this ends up being very secure. Like that. And here is our fully finished, adorable, stretchy, comfy neck warmer. You can find more of my designs on Etsy. My shop name is Lucky Fox Knits. Thank you for watching my video, and remember, there's no wrong way to knit. If it works for you, then that's the right way.